Joining us this morning is Mr. Brian Slawin, Director and Portfolio Manager for Ben Franklin Technology Partners of Central and Northern Pennsylvania. Brian, good morning.
Hey, Luke, it's great to be with you again. Thanks for having us and Ben Franklin on your show.
Yeah, well, thanks for making time for us. Always a fun conversation and always fascinating to hear what's going on with the local entrepreneurs and the in and outs of the daily life of an entrepreneur in Northwest Pennsylvania.
So what's the rumor you've heard about that? I talk to obviously entrepreneurs every day, and it's getting more and more interesting. There's all kinds of cool stuff going on.
There is, I was thinking, I don't know if we've ever tackled this or not. A lot of times when somebody's starting out, there's that blend of, we've talked before about somebody, working in their garage or their house and starting up a business. And, a lot of businesses start that way. And then, they kind of get into the more serious side of things. But one of the things I don't think we really discuss a whole lot is how hard is it to separate that home life aspect, that sort of, the start of it to, okay, now this is a business, and now you got to start separating your personal finances and insurance and all this stuff, and you got to have something, to protect yourself on this new end now.
Yeah, great question, because what we see at the Ben Franklin Technology Partners is that brand new entrepreneurs tend to sort of everything is all in the same bucket all at the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
There really isn't separation. They don't yet start with forming a company or at least creating a company. They're not usually focused on talking to their attorney and talking to a CPA. So yeah, it tends to in the beginning all blend together and everything's all in the same bucket. And that's one of the first things that if this is going to be more than just sort of a side gig where you're out making a little bit of extra money and you're thinking you'd like to really make a run at something, that's one of the very first things you want to do is you want to create what's known as a corporate veil, a separation between your personal finances and your personal existence and your business's existence. And there are a number of ways to do that, but the first is to actually forming a company. And fortunately, through the Penn State University's Entrepreneur Assistance Clinic, you can actually do that for free. So if you Google Penn State Entrepreneur Assistance Clinic, fill out the form, and their attorneys, these are now attorneys who are in law school, who are working with certified or registered attorneys, who will then provide this kind of thing for you for free. So that's the first thing, is really create a business to make a separation between the business as an entity and you as an entity. And that's the first step. There are other things once you kind of create your business, you can create a separate business banking account where you're going to want to put a little bit of money, and that's where the money will go into and out of. So if you think of yourself, the founder, as either an employee or someone running the business, all the business money goes into your business bank account. And if you need to take money out for materials or advertising or even to buy yourself a cup of coffee on the business, you can do that, but you want to keep it separate and clean. So those are the first two steps I would take, is get a hold of the Penn State Entrepreneurs Assistance Clinic and then open up a business bank account. And boy, you can do a lot of fun things from there.
When you look at a project to take on, are you looking at it in sort of what you just kind of said? Is this something that can be a full-on business, or is this something that might be better suited as a part-time hobby type of a business? Do you fund both, or do you really look for that opportunity to turn it into something much bigger than maybe what that entrepreneur was initially thinking.
Right. So that's one of the very first kinds of questions that we dig into is this going to grow into something where you're going to want to hire people as it grows? Frankly, that's the Ben Franklin mandate. Our number one metric, the number one thing that we're measured by is, are we working with companies? Are we providing them money? Do we provide them the other resources that we can provide to create jobs? That's the number one thing. Now, it sometimes takes a little bit, maybe a couple, 3 years before you get enough motion underneath you that you can actually begin to hire. But that's the focus, is creating a real business that one day the founder can transition into that business full time. A lot of business start off nights and weekends, and that's fine. But at some point, someone has to run the business full time, and that's really, really what we're looking for. So that's one of the many, many questions that we have in the beginning, is what's the end goal here? If it's a side mission, or if it's a sort of a side business, there are resources available, but Ben Franklin would probably point the people to that, or make sure that those introductions are made through our No Wrong Door program.
All right. Well, that's a
Yeah.
lot of great information.
Yeah. I mean, and the easiest way, Luke, as we've talked about before, is just reach out. I'm always a yes for every conversation, right? There's no conversation I'll say no to. I was just in Corey the other day with a colleague of mine, and we were talking with a gentleman and his, I guess it was his wife, and they're starting up a very interesting services business. Now, it's not something that Ben Franklin can invest in, but because we're very interested in creating entrepreneurship broadly throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we spent a good 45 minutes talking about their business and their mission and the challenges, and when does this become more than a nights and the weekends kind of a thing. And we really had a really good discussion. And now we've referred him to the Northwest Pennsylvania Innovation Beehive, which is, again, a free program through all of the various universities where they can do marketing materials and business research and financial projections, and on and on and on, that the Northwest Innovation Beehive provides, again, for free, for people who are interested in, like, what is this? Am I going to do a business here? And what does that need to look like?
Another conversation I was having with somebody recently involved somebody wanting to buy a commercial property for, as an investment, and just the craziness that goes on, where banks are saying, well, we can't just loan you money for your first time, and that person fighting back saying, well, how do you get involved if I can't get money to buy my first commercial property? There's just a lot of red tape. There's a lot of back and forth. As you work with a company, obviously you're there to work with them and to help them through situations that come up like that, to give them information that they might not be thinking about, to sort of hold their hand a little bit through the process of getting a business up and running.
Well, you're completely correct. There are a lot of hard questions that an entrepreneur faces as they get going and as they get growing. And frankly, that's what the Ben Franklin Technology Partners is all about. This is a new world for many people. Most people, because that's the way sort of our economy works, they go to school, they get some training, and they go work for somebody. And that's awesome. But at some point, if people are thinking, I'd rather do for me than do for someone else, I'd rather start a thing where I have some independence and I have some opportunity to grow this as large as I can stand to grow it. That's where Ben Franklin steps in. That's where the Innovation Beehive steps in. That's where our various partners at, like, Penn Northwest and the Venango Chamber of Commerce and the a variety of other regional economic development partners steps in. to help people sort of walk their way through all of those questions. Probably the neatest thing that we get to do is when we can work with a bank and the bank provides the capital maybe for some machinery or some building improvements and those kinds of things. And we provide the capital for hiring people and marketing and sales and the other innovations that are going on as they go from an idea on a napkin to up and running.
I know that used to be a pretty big conversation. You'd have a business hiring somebody, and they'd be saying to that potential candidate, "Boy, we really need somebody with experience." And that person on the other side of the desk is going, "Well, how do you get experience? You got to start somewhere. I'm willing to work for
Yeah.
you here." So I was asking this person, like, if the bank won't loan the money for somebody to start, how are they going to get started? And that answer was, well, they're going to have to look for investments and other creative opportunities to get started. But yeah, it is a crazy world because you do have people that want to get started or are willing to learn, and then they'll hit a roadblock. And I guess it's a good challenge because if they're really driven and really want to see an idea succeed, then that sort of pushes them a little bit, I guess. But still, there's a lot of challenges that can come up.
Well, there really are, and that's why the situation you're describing is kind of where the Ben Franklin Technology Partners fit in. And so again, as I mentioned, I'm a yes for anyone who wants to talk about what their future looks like, especially as it relates to building a business. And the easiest way to get a hold of me or any of us at Ben Franklin is go to benfranklin.org, benfranklin.org, and then click on the regional partners button or the regional partners link. It's right at the top, and then you'll scroll down a little bit, select the county in which you are residing or which you're going to build your business. That'll take you to the exact right place for the people that can support your idea and the conversation with you, and then you take it from there. We're really interested at Ben Franklin Technology Partners and all of our partners in the community of entrepreneurship, if you will, is stirring the pot, sparking that getting the spark started, so that we can increase entrepreneurism within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
You're watching the Morning Drill on Stream Television and on Armstrong's Neighborhood Channel. Brian Slawin with us here this morning, Director and Portfolio Manager for Ben Franklin Technology Partners of Central and Northern Pennsylvania. Well, Brian, give us kind of a recap of what you've been working on this past month.
Well, a ton of super interesting things. Of course, it started with the eclipse, which feels like a zillion years ago, but it was just a couple of weeks ago. That was super cool. We had a whole bunch of people and sat out in the backyard and watched with our special eclipse sunglasses. So that kind of kicked off the month. But there are a number of things in April that are really, really exciting. So this weekend at the Allegheny College in Meadville is the Zingale Big Idea Competition. There are 21 individual entrepreneurial companies that are going to pitch a panel of judges, and I've been privileged to be asked to be on the panel to win money, real money, to go do their thing. So that's this weekend at Allegheny. I'm super psyched for that. Coming up later in May, the Corey High Ed organization is kicking off Rural Entrepreneurship Week. That starts on May 20th. And if you want more information about that, you can go to coreyhighed.org. It's going to be a week full of activities all about entrepreneurship with a laser focus on supporting rural entrepreneurs. That's coreyhighed.org. And then coming up in a couple of weeks at the Jefferson, Educational Society is what's really happening at the Erie International Airport.
Ooh.
I know that flying around and doing business in other places is super critical to the economic fortunes of Northwest Pennsylvania. And I'll be making a presentation along with the director of the Erie Airport, Derek Martin. All you have to do is go to Jess Erie, Jes Erie dot, I think it's .org, it might be .com, and look for what's really happening at the Erie Regional Airport. Those three things and a whole lot more. We're doing a big check event on May 1st, celebrating two investments into the Blind Tiger Spirit Free Cocktail Company. Really wonderful story. Rebecca Stein started this company early days in the pandemic, and the company is now selling on 1,000 retail shelves across the world. She has worldwide global distribution. And that is a huge, huge step for someone to go from zero to that first 1,000 is critically important.
Wow.
They were admitted to the Fulfilled by Amazon program. So May 1st, big check event. Look on Facebook, just search big idea, excuse me, Blind Tiger Spirit Free Cocktail big check event, and you'll get all the details.
Was that something that they did, or were they assisted by you and Ben Franklin to help get that to that size of a market?
Right. So we've invested in the company since their very early days and have done follow-on investing. And now we're celebrating our most recent investment, which also included the ICE Angel Fund as an angel investor. So we put a whole bunch of money in, they put a whole bunch of money in, and collectively we're celebrating the success that Rebecca and Blind Tiger Spirit Free Cocktails have been having in their growth and their investment and what's next for them.
Oh, excellent. You know,
Come on up, free drinks.
there you go. Hey, I want to ask you real quick because you brought up Shark Tank before, and it's a fun show to watch to see people pitch ideas, and a lot. If people don't know, all the stuff on television is staged. I'm not. I'm not saying they're actors, yeah, but I'm just saying, there's a lot more to it than that. And when an investor, or I'm sorry, when an entrepreneur like on a show like that gets turned down, and you think, and you have the Shark Tank guys and gals, saying, their thoughts on it, and they seem cold at times. All that's to protect, their image, and it just draws ratings and things. But I know when you've had conversations with people and they're pitching their ideas to you, even if it's a bad idea, it's still tough to say no because it's their idea.
That's why we don't say no. There is no value in saying no to an entrepreneur who is not yet ready for an investment. The value is in supporting them, right? So the Ben Franklin Technology Partners, all of our regional partners are biased towards yes, or how can I help you, or let's talk with another organization. There is no benefit in saying no. It's always a maybe, not just yet, but here's where we need to go, and we're happy to go there with you and help you be supportive. So yeah, the difference between a TV show where they're doing some dramatic stuff just because that's TV and real life is completely different. I will tell you again, every one of us in the Ben Franklin Technology Partners is biased towards yes, and then to figure out how to get there.
And I don't think people realize that even these Shark Tank people have been turned down themselves. They've had people say no to them.
Yeah. So the president of the Ben Franklin Technology Central and Northern Pennsylvania Board is a woman named Andrea. Andrea approached Ben Franklin 20 years ago seeking funding for her business, and she wasn't ready yet. The business wasn't ready yet. And so over those first couple of years, worked with Ben Franklin, eventually was ready, did get an investment, had a follow-on investment, has now grown her company amazingly. And full circle, now she's the president of our board. So it isn't always a sure, here's a check in the beginning, but it will always be, let's work on this together. Let us help you. I'm talking with a half a dozen different companies today who aren't ready yet, but there is something there, and we love to work with entrepreneurs who just keep at it. They're not willing to give up. They know that there's something there, and they just need to find a pathway to get there. That's what we do, and we love it at the Ben Franklin Technology Partners.
Well, Brian, great catching up with you. If folks have questions, want more information, how do they get a hold of you?
Sure, benfranklin.org. Click on Regional Partners, and then find the county that you're in, and you'll get right to the website where you can send an email, or you can always just send me an email, Brian Slawin, BrianSlawin, at CNP, that's for Central and Northern Pennsylvania, cnp.benfranklin.org. So either way, reach out. We're always around. Of course, we're on all the socials, so you can also reach out there as well.
Thanks, Brian. Talk to you next month.
It's always great. See you in a month.
Bye.